Commander John Harris stood alone in the center of the massive chamber. 7 alien beings looked down at him from their tall seats. The room was cold, and the light was harsh. These 7 aliens made up the Galactic Council, the group that ruled over 200 alien species across thousands of star systems. John tried to stand tall, but he felt small. He was the only human in the room. The weight of representing all of Earth pressed down on his shoulders. "The Council has reached its decision," said Zorath, the main speaker. Zorath's body looked like clear crystal, and light moved inside it as it spoke. Its voice echoed in the large chamber. "Humanity is too dangerous to be allowed free travel among the stars." John's heart sank. He had feared this outcome, but hearing it made it real. The trial had lasted 6 Earth months. The Council had reviewed every human war, every violent conflict, and all the times humans had broken galactic rules during their 30 years as part of the galactic community. "But we have changed," John said. His voice sounded weak even to himself. "We have worked alongside other species for decades. We have traded, we have shared knowledge." "Silence," hissed Krell, a reptile-like council member with green scales and yellow eyes. "Your kind speaks of peace while planning for war. We have seen your military ships. We have watched your colonies spread too quickly." The council member that looked like a giant blue jellyfish floated forward. "Humans adapt too fast. You solve problems in ways we cannot predict. This makes you dangerous." John wanted to argue that this was unfair. Being good at solving problems should be seen as helpful, not scary, but he knew it would not change their minds. Zorath raised a crystalline arm. "Our judgment is this: all humans will return to their home solar system. The Council will remove all faster-than-light technology from human ships. Any human vessel that tries to leave your solar system will be destroyed. This judgment is final." John felt like he had been punched. This was worse than he had expected. Not just restrictions, complete exile. "You cannot do this," John said, his voice shaking with anger. "Earth has rights as a council member. We demand—" "Your membership is ended," Zorath said coldly. "You have 30 Earth days to bring all humans back to your solar system. Council ships will help make sure this happens." 2 tall guards with blue skin moved toward John. It was time for him to leave. There would be no more discussion. The journey back to Earth was the longest trip of John's life. His small diplomatic ship felt like a prison. He had failed. All humans would now be trapped in one small corner of the galaxy, all because the Council feared what humans might become. When he landed in Washington, a crowd waited for him. News of the Council's decision had traveled faster than his ship. People held signs and shouted. Some were angry, some were scared. President Allison Wright met him at the landing pad. Her face was serious, with dark circles under her eyes. "They really went through with it," she said. "It wasn't a question." John nodded. "Complete exile. We have 30 days to bring everyone home." The president's office was filled with important people when they arrived. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials all turned to look at John when he walked in. "Tell them everything," President Wright said. John explained the Council's fears and their punishment. The room grew quiet as he spoke. When he finished, the silence was heavy. "So they're afraid of us," said General Peter Collins, his voice rough. "Afraid of what we might do." "They're afraid of what we can become," John corrected him. "They've never seen a species advance as quickly as humans. Most alien civilizations take thousands of years to develop the technologies we created in just a few hundred." Dr. Sam Powell, the head of Earth's Science Division, spoke up. "What about the colonies on Mars and Europa? What about our mining operations in the asteroid belt?" "We can keep everything in our solar system," John explained. "But nothing beyond. They're taking our faster-than-light drives. We'll be stuck here." The president stood up. Everyone in the room fell silent. "I will address the people tonight," she said. "But I want to be clear about something right now. This is not the end for humanity. This is a setback. A serious one, yes, but not the end." She walked to the window and looked out at the city below. "The Council thinks they know us, but they don't. They've seen our capacity for violence but missed our capacity for determination, for creativity. She turned back to face the room. Dr. Powell, I want you to gather every bit of alien technology we have, study it. Find things they don't think we can understand. Dr. Powell nodded, his mind already working on the problem. General Collins, prepare for the return of our off-world military personnel, but keep our forces ready. For what? The general asked. For whatever comes next, the president replied. We are not going to simply accept this prison they've built for us. That night, riots broke out in cities across Earth. People were angry and scared. The stock market crashed as companies with off-world investments lost value. On the news, experts talked about how Earth's economy would suffer without access to resources from other star systems. President Wright addressed the world from the Oval Office. Her voice was calm but strong. Today, the Galactic Council showed their true feelings about humanity. They fear us. They fear what we might become. So they have decided to lock us away. She paused, looking directly into the camera. I want to be clear. We will not accept these chains forever. They have judged us without truly knowing us. They have punished us not for what we have done, but for what they fear we might do. This is not justice, and we will not bow to it forever. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Powell and his team began their work. They had boxes of alien devices, data crystals full of information that the aliens thought humans couldn't fully understand. There's something here, he whispered to his colleague Kate Morgan late one night. They had been studying a piece of a broken alien drive. Look at how they're channeling energy through these crystals. They never imagined we could develop this on our own. Kate looked where he was pointing. Her eyes widened. You're right, she said. And if we can figure this out, we can find another way to travel between stars. Dr. Powell finished her thought. A way they don't know about, a way they can't detect. Outside, the stars shone in the night sky. They seemed further away now, out of reach, but not forever. Humanity had been exiled, but they would not remain prisoners for long. 20 years passed since the Galactic Council's judgment. The alien patrol ships still circled the edges of the solar system, watching and waiting. To these alien observers, Earth seemed quiet and obedient. Humans appeared to have accepted their fate, living only within the boundaries of their small corner of space. The Council's monitoring station near Pluto picked up normal activity. Mining ships traveling to the asteroid belt, passenger vessels moving between Earth and the Mars colonies, and supply runs to the research bases on Europa and Titan. Nothing that broke the rules of exile. Velian, the blue-skinned alien in charge of the monitoring station, filed his regular report to the Council. The humans remain contained, he wrote. Their spirit seems broken by isolation. They pose no threat to galactic stability. If only he knew what was happening beneath the surface of Pluto's moon Charon. Deep inside a hidden base carved into the small moon, Lisa Chen prepared for her mission. She was 32 years old and had never seen a world beyond the solar system. She had been 16 when the exile began. Now she would be the first to break free. Final systems check complete, Lisa said as she moved through the startup sequence of her ship, the Pathfinder. The vessel looked small and ordinary from the outside, like a standard mining survey craft. But inside, it held humanity's greatest secret. Dr. Powell stood behind her, watching her work. His hair had turned white over the 20 years he had spent developing the technology that powered Lisa's ship. Remember, he said quietly, the dimensional fold will only last 45 seconds. You need to be at full speed before activation. Lisa nodded. She had practiced this hundreds of times in simulation. The ship would create a fold in space, slipping between the dimensions that the Council's sensors could detect. For those brief seconds, the Pathfinder would simply disappear from normal space before emerging light years away. If this works, Dr. Powell continued, you'll be the first human to see Proxima Centauri in 20 years. President Wright's successor, President Daniel Foster, entered the control room. Everyone stood a little straighter as he approached. Is everything ready? He asked. Yes, sir, Dr. Powell answered. If Lisa succeeds, we'll have proof that the dimensional fold drive works. Then Project Diaspora can begin in earnest. President Foster nodded solemnly. Project Diaspora was humanity's great hope. A plan to secretly move millions of people beyond the solar system, to build new colonies far from the Council's reach. For 20 years, humanity had prepared in secret while presenting a face of quiet acceptance to their alien watchers. Godspeed, Lisa, the president said. The hopes of humanity go with you. Lisa sealed her ship and prepared for launch. The hidden doors above the underground hangar slid open, revealing the star-filled sky. The Pathfinder lifted off slowly, rising up into space. As planned, Lisa piloted her ship along a normal route used by mining survey vessels. The Council's sensors would see her as just another routine mission. She passed Mars, then Jupiter. Everything normal so far. Near Saturn, she adjusted her course slightly. The small change wouldn't raise any alarms, but would position her correctly for what came next. As she approached Uranus, she increased speed. In the control room back on Charon, Dr. Powell watched Lisa's progress on the tracking screens. She's reaching the critical point, he said tensely. Council patrol ship is on the far side of Neptune. Window is open. Lisa's voice came through the communication system, slightly delayed. Beginning final approach. Power to dimensional fold drive. At 100%. Everyone in the control room held their breath. This was the moment that would determine if 20 years of secret work had been worth it. Activating fold in 3, 2, 1. On the tracking screen, Lisa's ship vanished. 1 second it was. There the next, nothing. Signal lost, reported a technician. No trace of the ship on any sensors. Now they had to wait. If the drive worked as designed, Lisa would reappear near Proxima Centauri and send a message through the secure quantum channel they had developed. Another technology the Council didn't know humans had mastered. 45 minutes passed in tense silence. Then the quantum receiver blinked. Incoming message, the communications officer announced, her voice shaking with excitement. Lisa's face appeared on the main screen. She was smiling, her eyes bright with tears. Navigation confirms success, she reported. I'm beyond Proxima Centauri and no signs of Council alerts. The fold worked perfectly. I can see the red dwarf with my own eyes. We did it. The control room erupted in cheers. Dr. Powell closed his eyes, 20 years of tension finally releasing from his shoulders. President Foster raised his hands for quiet. This is just the beginning, he reminded them. Now the real work starts. Over the next decade, humanity implemented Project Diaspora with careful precision. Small ships, each equipped with the dimensional fold drive, secretly carried people beyond the solar system. The first destination was a planet orbiting Proxima Centauri that they named Hope. The colonists built their new home underground at first, hiding all signs of their presence from any passing Council ships. Engineers like Frank Rodriguez established manufacturing bases on a mineral-rich moon, orbiting a gas giant they called New Jupiter. We need to be self-sufficient as quickly as possible, Frank told the first group of colonists as they set up automated mining equipment. Every resource we take from this moon gets us closer to independence. The colony ships traveled further with each successful mission. New settlements sprang up on distant worlds with names like Liberty, Promise, and Second Chance. Each colony specialized in different areas, some focused on agriculture, others on manufacturing or research. On Earth, life continued as if nothing had changed. The public face of humanity showed resignation and acceptance of their fate. The Council's occasional inspection teams saw exactly what humans wanted them to see, a civilization making the best of its confinement. Ambassador Alan Brooks welcomed a Council delegation to Earth 25 years after the exile began. He led them on carefully planned tours of cities and colonies within the solar system. As you can see, he told the alien representatives as they walked through a dome on Mars, we have adapted to our situation. We focus now on improving life within our solar system rather than expanding beyond it. The lead Council inspector, a tall insect-like being, made notes on a datapad. Your people seem to have finally accepted the wisdom of the Council's judgment, It clicked through its translator. Alan smiled politely. "We have found our place," he said. This was not a lie. Humans had indeed found their place. The council just didn't know where that place truly was. Later that night, after the inspection team had left, Alan sent a secure message to the Shadow. Government that coordinated the exodus. Inspection complete. They suspect nothing. Continue as planned. In the darkness of deep space, far beyond the council's sensors, another colony ship activated its dimensional fold drive and disappeared, carrying 1,000 more humans to freedom. The silent exodus continued. 50 years had passed since the council's judgment. What began as a trickle of secret ships had become a well-organized migration. Millions of humans now lived beyond the solar system, spread across 17 thriving colonies. Together, they called themselves the Orion Arm Confederacy, named after the spiral arm of the galaxy where most of their new worlds existed. Far from the watchful eyes of the Galactic Council, humans were free to develop in their own way. Each colony took a slightly different path, focusing on different strengths, but they all shared one goal: to make sure humans would never be trapped again. On the lush green world of Avalon, General Diana Ward watched a group of young men and women train in an open field. These were the first recruits of the Stellar Marines, a new type of military force designed to operate in space and on many different types of planets. "Faster!" Diana called out as the recruits ran through an obstacle. "Of course, in lower gravity you'll move quicker. In higher gravity, you'll be slower. Your bodies need to be ready for anything." One young man stumbled and fell. Diana walked over and helped him up. "Why are we training so hard, cadet?" she asked him. The young man stood straight. "So we can protect our people if the council ever finds us, ma'am." Diana nodded. "That's part of it. But remember, we're not building an army for revenge. We're building a defense force that will ensure humanity never faces exile again. There's a difference." Later that day, Diana met with the other colony leaders in a virtual meeting. Her image appeared as a hologram in their council chamber, along with leaders from the other 16 colonies. "Our shipyards at Liberty have completed 5 more warships," reported Steve Garcia, the leader of the Liberty colony. His colony, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, specialized in shipbuilding. "That brings our fleet to over 50 combat-ready vessels." "And what good are ships without trained crews?" Diana asked. "Avalon is ready to provide 300 new Stellar Marines. They've completed training in both space and ground combat." The leader of Nova Prime, Dr. Eric Bennett, spoke. Next, he was a tall, thin man who had devoted his life to advancing human technology. "The neural implant networks are working better than expected," he said. "Our volunteers can now interface directly with our ships and systems, cutting reaction time by 70%. Some of the other leaders looked uncomfortable. Eric's research involved connecting human brains directly to computers. It pushed the boundaries of what many considered acceptable. "Is it safe?" asked Mary Wilson, the leader of the farming colony, called Harvest. "We can't risk damaging our people." Eric nodded. "All volunteers are carefully monitored. This is evolution on our terms," he explained. "We're becoming something new. Not post-human, but fully realized humans using technology to enhance what we already are." The debate continued, but in the end, they agreed to expand the neural implant program. Humanity needed every advantage to survive in a universe that had rejected them. Meanwhile, back on Earth, things appeared much as they had for decades. The population had declined as people secretly left for the colonies, but the council inspectors never noticed. Empty buildings were demolished and replaced with parks. Automated farms produced just enough food for the remaining population. To any visitor, Earth seemed like a planet that had accepted its limitations. Alan Brooks had served as Earth's representative to the council for over 30 years. He was an old man now, but still sharp-minded. When the council requested yet another inspection, he welcomed them as always. "Our population has stabilized," he told the inspectors as they toured New York City. "We've found a sustainable balance within our solar system. The council inspectors, different aliens than those who had come before but just as arrogant, nodded in approval. "Your kind has finally learned wisdom," said one with tentacles where a human would have arms. "The council was right to contain you." Alan smiled politely and said nothing. Later, in his secure underground office, he sent his real report to the Shadow Cabinet, the secret government that coordinated between Earth and the colonies. "The council still believes we're licking our wounds," he reported through the quantum communication channel. "Meanwhile, our industrial capacity in the outer colonies has surpassed pre-exile Earth. We'll be ready when the time comes." The leader of the Shadow Cabinet, Helen Myers, received his message on the colony world of New Washington. This planet, further from its sun than Earth was from Sol, had become the unofficial capital of the human colonies. Helen called her advisors together to discuss Alan's report. "The deception continues to work," she told them, "but we can't hide forever. Sooner or later, the council will discover one of our colonies. We need to be ready before that happens." "Are you suggesting we reveal ourselves?" asked Jacob Lee, her military advisor. "We have 50 warships now, but the council has thousands." "Not yet," Helen said. "But in another 10 or 20 years? By then, our fleet will be much larger, and our technology has already surpassed what the council thinks we're capable of. Remember, they believe we're still using the same level of technology as 50 years ago." Paul Martinez, her science advisor, pulled up a holographic display showing the growth projections for the colonies. "At our current rate of development, we'll have the industrial capacity to build hundreds of warships within 15 years. And, with the new neural interface systems, our ships can be operated with smaller crews, making them more efficient." Helen nodded. "Then that's our timeline. In 15 years, we'll be ready to show ourselves to the galaxy again, not as exiles or supplicants, but as equals." As the meeting ended, Helen walked to the window of the meeting room. Outside, the city of New Washington spread across the valley. Skyscrapers reached toward the sky. Flying vehicles moved between them in orderly patterns. Children played in parks below. This was what the council had tried to prevent: humans spreading among the stars, building and growing. They had feared what humanity might become if left unchecked. What they didn't understand was that by trying to contain humanity, they had only forced them to become stronger, more united, and more determined than ever before. The very act of exile had created exactly what the council feared most: a human civilization that had developed beyond their control. And soon, the galaxy would learn what humanity had become. 80 years had passed since the exile began. The human colonies had grown beyond all expectations. What started as 17 small settlements had expanded to over 100 worlds across a vast section of space. Humans called this region the Terran Alliance, a name that reflected their growing unity and strength. At the edge of council space, a small scientific vessel drifted through what the aliens believed was empty territory. The ship belonged to the Varaxians, a species of tall insect-like beings known for their scientific curiosity. They were mapping energy patterns in this section of space, looking for natural phenomena to study. "Captain Zix, I'm detecting unusual energy readings," said the ship's sensor operator. "They don't match any known natural pattern." Captain Zix moved to the sensor station, 6 long legs clicking against the metal floor. "Could it be a sensor malfunction?" he asked. "No, Captain. The pattern is consistent and growing stronger. It appears to be artificial." Zix's compound eyes widened. This region was supposed to be uninhabited. The council had no record of any civilization in this part of space. "Send a message to council headquarters. Request instructions." The council, always slow to act, took 3 days to respond. By then, the Varaxian ship had traced the energy signature to its source. What they found shocked them. "It cannot be," Zix whispered as his ship emerged from faster-than-light travel near the energy source. Before them floated a massive space station. It was clearly of human design, but far more advanced than anything humans should have been capable of building. Ships of various sizes moved around it, coming and going from what appeared to be docking bays. "The humans are supposed to be confined to their solar system," said Zix's second-in-command. "How is this possible?" Before they could decide what to do, their communication system activated. A human face appeared on their main screen. "Varaxian vessel, this is New Washington Control. You have entered Terran Alliance space. Please identify yourselves and state your purpose." Zix was too stunned to speak for a moment. Humans? Out here? With technology that should be beyond their reach? Finally, he found his voice. "This is Captain Zix of the Varaxian Science Vessel, Seeker. We are on a Council-approved mission to study energy patterns. We were unaware this region was occupied." The human smiled. "Welcome to New Washington, Captain. We'd be happy to provide you with a map of Terran Alliance territory to avoid future confusion. Would you like to dock with our station?" Before Zix could respond, his communications officer interrupted. "Captain, we're receiving an urgent message from Council headquarters. A fleet has been dispatched to our location. They're ordering us to maintain position and await their arrival." Zix turned back to the screen. "Thank you for your offer, but we must decline. Council representatives are on their way to discuss this situation." The human's smile didn't waver. "We understand. We've been expecting this meeting for some time. We'll prepare a proper welcome for the Council fleet." 3 days later, a fleet of 20 Council warships arrived at the coordinates provided by the Varaxian Science Vessel. The fleet was led by High Commander Krell, the same reptilian council member who had advocated for humanity's exile 8 decades earlier. "Report, Captain Zix," Krell demanded as soon as his flagship arrived. "The station calls itself New Washington," Zix explained. "It appears to be a major hub for human activity. We've detected ships coming and going constantly. They claim this region is part of something called the Terran Alliance." Krell's scales darkened with anger. "Impossible. The humans were contained. Their faster-than-light technology was confiscated." "Evidently," Zix said carefully. "They developed new technology. Our scans indicate their ships use a method of travel unknown to us." Krell turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare to fire on the human station. We will enforce the Council's judgment." Before the order could be carried out, a new ship appeared, near the Council fleet. It was sleek and clearly built for speed and combat, though it was smaller than the Council warships. On its side was painted Taz Diplomat, along with a symbol of Earth surrounded by stars. "Council fleet, this is Admiral Olivia Green of the Terran Alliance ship Diplomat," came a confident human voice over the communication system. "On behalf of the Terran Alliance, I extend greetings. We would like to renegotiate the terms of our relationship with the Galactic Council." Krell appeared on the main screen, his reptilian face twisted with rage. "There will be no negotiations. Your species was judged and contained. Your presence here is a violation of Council law. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Admiral Green remained calm. "High Commander Krell, I recognize you from our historical records. You were present at humanity's trial 80 years ago. Before you make threats, I suggest you scan the space around your fleet more carefully." Krell turned to his sensor officer, who was already working frantically at his station. "Commander," the officer said, his voice shaking, "we're detecting multiple ships emerging from some kind of dimensional fold. They're everywhere." On the view screens around Krell's bridge, hundreds of human warships appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. They formed a sphere around the Council fleet, their weapons clearly ready but not yet active. "This is impossible," stammered Krell's second-in-command. "The sensors show over 3,000 vessels." Admiral Green's face reappeared on the main screen. "We've had 80 years to prepare for this conversation," she explained, her voice still pleasant but firm. "We used that time to build, to learn, and to grow beyond what you thought possible. You tried to cage us, but instead, you forced us to become stronger." "How?" Krell demanded. "How did you escape the solar system without our detection?" "We developed technology you never imagined we could," Green replied. "The dimensional fold drive allows our ships to travel between the layers of space, invisible to your sensors. We've been building colonies and ships since less than a year after your judgment." Krell hissed in frustration. "The Council will never accept this. We have thousands more ships. We will bring the full might of the Council against you. Green nodded as if she had expected this response. You could try that approach, or we could talk as equals. We don't want war, High Commander. We want recognition of our right to exist among the stars like any other species. She activated a holographic display that appeared on the Council ships. It showed star maps, trade routes, and detailed information about the Terran Alliance. We control over 100 worlds. Our population exceeds 3 billion. And yes, we have a fleet capable of defending our territory. But we'd rather be friends than enemies. Krell stared at the display, seeing decades of human expansion that had happened right under the Council's nose. His options were limited. Fighting now would mean the destruction of his fleet. Returning to the Council with news of such a massive human presence would shake the foundation of the Galactic Order. I will convey your request to the full Council, he said finally, his voice tight with suppressed anger. Until then, maintain your position. Admiral Green smiled. We look forward to a productive discussion. After 80 years, it's time for humanity to rejoin the galactic community, this time on equal terms. As Krell's ship prepared to return to Council space with the shocking news, the human fleet maintained their position, a silent reminder of how drastically the balance of power had shifted while the Council wasn't looking. 100 years had passed since humanity's exile. The Great Council chamber on the neutral world of Centaurus Prime looked very different now. No longer did the 7 Council members sit on high platforms looking down at others. Instead, they gathered around a large circular table where all species sat as equals. Jack Wilson adjusted his formal uniform as he prepared to enter the chamber. As Earth's first official representative to the reformed Galactic Council, he carried the weight of a century of human struggle and triumph on his shoulders. Are you ready, Ambassador Wilson? Asked his assistant, a young woman named Laura Reed. Jack nodded. As ready as anyone can be to make history. 20 years had passed since the confrontation between Admiral Green's fleet and the Council forces. Those years had been filled with tense negotiations, small conflicts, and gradually increasing acceptance of humanity's new place in the galaxy. The Council had initially reacted with fear and anger to the discovery of the Terran Alliance. Some members had called for a full-scale war to push humans back to their home system. But cooler heads had prevailed when they realized the full extent of human advancement. Not only had humans built a powerful fleet and established colonies across a vast region of space, but they had also developed technologies that other species coveted. The dimensional fold drive was just the beginning. Human medical advances could extend the lives of most Council species. Human communication systems worked faster than anything the Council had, and human creativity continued to produce new innovations at a pace that amazed and frightened the older civilizations. Ambassador Wilson, they're ready for you, said a blue-skinned aide from the Council staff. Jack entered the chamber with his head held high. Representatives from 23 alien civilizations turned to watch him. Some faces showed curiosity, others showed lingering distrust, but none showed the contempt that humans had faced a century before. In the center of the room, on a small pedestal, lay the Treaty of New Beginning. This document would formally end humanity's exile and recognize the Terran Alliance as a legitimate power in the galaxy. It would establish new protocols for resolving conflicts between species and set up fair trade agreements that would benefit all. The Speaker of the Council, a tall being with golden skin named Ilara, gestured for Jack to approach. Ambassador Wilson, is the Terran Alliance prepared to sign the treaty and join the new Galactic Council as a full member? Jack stepped forward. We are, he said simply. He picked up the stylus and signed his name on the document. As he did, he thought about the long journey that had brought humanity to this moment. From Commander Harris standing alone before a hostile council to this day of recognition, a century of determination, innovation, and sacrifice. After the signing ceremony, representatives from many species approached Jack to establish personal connections and discuss potential agreements with the Terran Alliance. Your medical technology could help my people greatly, said the representative from Vega 4, a world plagued by a genetic disease. We would offer mining rights to our outer, moons in exchange for access to your gene therapy techniques. The dimensional fold drive would reduce our trade journey to the outer systems by months, commented the Taurian trade minister, a short being with 4 arms. We have agricultural products your colonies might value. Jack handled each conversation with skill, laying the groundwork for dozens of bilateral agreements that would strengthen humanity's position further. This was what Admiral Green had hoped for when she chose diplomacy over conflict 20 years earlier, humanity rejoining the galactic community, but this time as a respected power. In the observation lounge above the council chamber, an elderly, Dr. Sam Powell watched the proceedings with Kate Morgan, both now well over 100 years old. Advanced medical treatments developed during the exile had extended their lives, allowing them to see the fruits of their early work. They thought they were containing a threat, Powell mused, leaning on a cane as he looked down at the gathering. Instead, they created an empire. Kate smiled, watching as human diplomats moved confidently among alien dignitaries. Not just an empire, she corrected. Something better, a second chance to join the galactic community, but this time on equal footing. Later that evening, Jack gave a speech at the formal reception celebrating the treaty signing. Representatives from all council species gathered to listen. 100 years ago, the old council judged humanity too dangerous to be allowed among the stars, Jack began. They saw our adaptability, our determination, and our capacity for both creation and destruction as threats to galactic stability. Paused, looking around the room. In some ways, they weren't wrong to be concerned. Humans can be dangerous when cornered. We adapt quickly. We solve problems in unexpected ways. These traits have helped us survive as a species. Jack gestured to the diverse gathering before him. But what the old council failed to see was that these same traits make us valuable allies. Our exile taught us something important. Isolation breeds innovation, but cooperation multiplies potential. The Terran Alliance brings to this new council not just military strength, but new technologies in medicine, propulsion, and communication that can benefit all species. A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. Today marks not an ending but a beginning, Jack continued. We don't seek to dominate the galaxy, but to take our place among the stars as partners. The lessons of our exile have made us stronger, wiser, and more determined to build a future where all our civilizations can thrive together. When Jack finished speaking, even those species that had most strongly opposed humanity's return to the galactic community joined in the applause. The tide had turned. The fear had been replaced with cautious optimism about what humans might contribute to galactic civilization. Outside the council station's massive viewports, ships from across the galaxy moved in carefully choreographed patterns. Among them, instantly recognizable by their distinctive design, were the vessels of the Terran fleet, no longer exiles but protectors of a hard-won peace. On Earth, people gathered in cities and towns to watch the broadcast of the treaty signing. After a century, the stars were finally open to them again. Children looked up at the night sky with the knowledge that they could travel to those distant points of light if they wished. The species that had once judged humanity too dangerous to roam the stars had been proven both right and wrong. Humans were indeed dangerous when threatened, innovative beyond expectation and determined beyond reason. But they were also capable of forgiveness, of finding peaceful solutions, and of turning exile into opportunity. The Galactic Council had intended to contain humanity. Instead, they had forced humanity to become what they were always meant to be: explorers, builders, and now, partners in the great community of galactic civilization.